So like, what's gonna be like the first thing you do when you get back to Tallahassee?
You want the real answer or the podcast answer?
Hey, listen, you give us the podcast answer, and I'm gonna hit you up for the real answer
The real
afterward.
answer later. But of course, that first day, you always got to walk around campus and see what's going on, see what's changed. I heard it's been a lot of construction, a lot of changes on the yard. I heard the set looks totally different. I heard they have an amphitheater now. So just excited to see all the changes.
I know amphitheater. I don't know how I
Yes.
feel about
Could
those
you
yet.
imagine if we had one back then?
All the trouble. Oh wait, sorry, we don't want to.
Another episode of the Legends of the Fall podcast. And so, for those who were tuning in for the first time, this
Yes.
podcast is dedicated to our class of 97, those of us that came up in the 100 in the fall of 97. So, this
97.
year is our
Yes.
25th anniversary.
So excited. You gonna bring it
And
on?
so we are using this podcast as an opportunity to interview our classmates and just get an understanding of where we've gone, how far we've gone, and where we're heading in our different lives. And so tonight we are
We got
interviewing two legends of the fall. First, we're going to start out with this episode. Before I get to that part, this episode is our music educator episode. So of course, coming up in the 100, um, a lot of our classmates actually majored in music and built careers in music. So
right.
this episode is dedicated to those who have built their careers in music and continue to lead within the field of music. And so, of
Right.
course, we wanted to start out with ladies first. So,
Ladies first.
without
Ladies
further ado, we're going to introduce our classmates,
first.
Rametria Smith and
Rametria!
Karalda Perkins.
Karalda Perkins!
Hey y'all.
Welcome, welcome. And so
Yes.
we'll start out with Rametria. So, Rametria, can you just give us a little bit, just tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what made you choose the clarinet and what made you choose to come to FAMU?
Okay, Carmen and Tracy, thank you guys for first of all having us on. So these are questions that I don't know I have definite answers to. So I don't know why I chose to play the clarinet, but I do know I wanted to stop playing violin, so I needed to be in band, and I'm not sure why I chose the clarinet, but chose the clarinet and stuck with it. And being from Texas, it's pretty far from Florida. So there's not a lot of exposure to schools in the then MEAC, right? My high school band director was a graduate of South Carolina State. And so that was kind of my introduction to the MEAC, because growing up in Texas, it was pretty much all about the SWAC. You saw Grambling, you saw Prairie View. So I think maybe around ninth or 10th grade, I actually saw the band. I knew about Florida A&M University because I knew some people that had gone to the school, and maybe about ninth or 10th grade, I got my first whiff of the 100, and it kind of just stuck with me. And then we started going to band camp, and then I knew for sure maybe my junior year, this is where I wanted to go to school. My parents were against it because they thought I would just stay closer to home. And if I wanted to be a music major, I would go to University of North Texas because that's where you go for music. And PV offered me a scholarship. So my daddy was like, we're going to go to PV. That's where the money is. But I was very adamant about wanting to attend the HBCU. And once I decided I wanted to major in music, Florida A&M was my first choice.
Wow.
Awesome. So that's interesting to hear how we all took these different routes to get there. But that
Right.
persistence, though, you hear that common theme amongst a lot of us, though. Definitely have the persistence. And so now we'll turn it over to you, Karalda. So same question. Just give us a little bit about what made you choose your instrument and what brought you to FAMU?
Okay, well, I actually wanted to play the trombone. My
Wow.
yeah, my band director was like, I'd love to have some girls, play trombone, and I was like, oh, me. She was like, no, not you. Um, we're gonna put you on clarinet. So clarinet was my first instrument, and yeah, and so I was sitting there playing the clarinet. My sister had kind of already taught me to play clarinet, so being in beginning band and being a know-it-all didn't work well in my favor. So the teacher was like, well, we got to keep you busy. And so my next instrument was the flute. That didn't work out. Um, I kept taking in all the extra oxygen and passing out after class. So so I didn't stay on the flute very long. My dad was like, "Oh, you staying in the band?" So I was like, "Okay." He said, "Well, I went to the pawn shop and got a saxophone." So I said, "Okay, I'll try the saxophone." They just want me to be in the band. So I got in the band. I, played the saxophone. I moved to tenor saxophone in the eighth grade when, because I lived in Augusta near a military base. So a new girl moved in, and she played a really good alto saxophone, but I was first alto. So the band director was like, well, let's put you on out the tenor one and put her on alto one, and that kind of kept us from bumping heads a lot. And she is one of my best friends to this day, by the way. um, and as far as coming to FAMU, my dad is from Camilla, Georgia, really close to FAMU, and he'd always watch FAMU. And I'm a daddy's girl. So he had always talked about it, and he was like, "Oh, I just got this information. I want to send you to FAMU band camp." So I'm like, "Yes, Daddy, sure." So I went to FAMU band camp, and that was it. I was hooked from that point. FAMU all the way.
And the rest
1995 band
is
camp.
history.
Yes.
And full disclosure, too, for the viewers, all of us stayed in the same dorm in the fall of 97. So we are
Patty
all
Foot.
Patty foot soldiers. So now let's look into, fast forward into, coming up in the 100. We played, made it through our season. What made you decide, and for both of you, what made you decide that you wanted to major in music, not just to major in music, but to actually direct bands? And we'll start with you first, Rametria.
Why you keep picking on me, Carmen? No. I think when I went to high school, I was so sure I wanted to be a journalist. I went to the
Really?
humanities and the communications high school for journalism. And somewhere along maybe 10th grade, I wasn't even in the journalism cluster anymore. I was in the humanities cluster. I decided I wanted to teach. So that's where it started for me, first deciding that I wanted to teach. And then I guess around junior year, I said, well, I'm gonna teach band. And then I was very adamant that I wasn't just gonna be a band director. I wanted to be a music educator. And so I'm not sure how I came to that resolve in my mind, but and that's what drove me to FAM, because I had to find a place that I could get the total package, going into music education. And I think for me, I realized that we get to really, really help students experience education outside of the box in classroom setting. And so we teach across disciplines, their experiences. Like, I mean, you guys can remember how many people went to band camp and that was their first time leaving home and staying away from home. Those type of experiences. I came to realize at an early age that those were very valuable, and I enjoy music, right? So what other thing would I teach besides band and music? I didn't see female band directors. It wasn't common back in the 90s as we were coming up now. I'll say high school, it wasn't common. The lady that started me on clarinet, she's just retired, and then my middle school band director is still working in the district. And so after that, you get on the high school level, where were the girls? and you didn't see many of them. It's funny that we even went to FAM because it was male dominated even at FAM. But for me, that was a driving factor too because we weren't represented, and we still are a minority in the field, even though it's becoming more common to have female band directors. But that for me, it was a no brainer. That's what I wanted to do. So I say junior year, senior year, I knew where I was going to school and what I was going to pursue.
Awesome. And for Rametria, and this is just something for me to you, giving you your flowers back then. I always saw that in you from day one.
Mm.
I would, Rametria, I would have followed you right on off the cliff, and I probably did a couple of times. But it's always has been within you. So to see you bring that to fruition and to see you make your vision a reality, I mean, that's awesome. So that's my
Thank
freshman sister, y'all. Well, our freshman sister.
Yes.
So same for you, Karalda. Can you tell us about your path? Was it your first plan, always your intent, or did you evolve into that during your time at FAMU?
I don't know. I feel bad coming after Rametria. She has these nice organized stories. I was a rebel, and I told my band director, I'm coming for your job. So I went to be a music educator so I could go back and take her job. I'm not sure
Really?
what I wanted to do before that. I'm not sure what I wanted to do. But um, I love music. I definitely wanted to see more females. I had two female directors. Now, the unfortunate part about me saying I'm gonna come take your job, I was like, well, you're not doing your job. And let me tell you what led to that. FAMU. I'm up there at FAMU at band camp. I'm coming back like I don't know how to do this. You ain't teaching me that. So I was like, I'm coming for your job. And that's what she wrote. My director, my high school director, she retired this year. From the time I graduated, I have always been welcome back to her band room. I used to go and help with my high school. Actually took my group to Augusta um, right before COVID hit in 2019. And I was like, look at my group. And she was like, oh, you come a long way because you had kind of the attitude back then. And she called me and said, you still want my job? Because I'm about to retire. And I was like, no. But yeah, my path was a little different. Like I said, I was kind of know it all.
No.
So
But it sounds like you knew it though. You knew it early. You had that idea, that seed was planted, and you made it grow. You made it bloom.
I have
I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. I I looked, I took all the little, the little tests and stuff that they give you, the aptitude test, and see what your interests are. And everything led me right back to music. Actually, when I first went to FAMU, I wanted to do film score and arranging. I discovered quickly that I don't like to write. So, music education it was. So, and I thoroughly enjoy it now. So,
Great.
I
Yeah,
have a
you
And
question.
killing it. You killing it too, Karalda. You killing it too.
yes,
oh,
yes, she is.
trying to. Thank you.
I have a
I don't
question for
follow
the both of
much.
you ladies. I have a question for the both of you ladies. So, um, being in a male dominated sphere, because I'm a software designer and I'm most times the only female in my group, in my project groups for work. Being in this male dominated sphere, especially black women, black female band directors. I believe there is one HBC. I believe no. I believe the band director at Grambling, if I'm mistaken, is a woman. Okay, right. So, and this is 2022. So, how has it been for the both of you to be in this sphere of male domination within the band directors world, and how are you able to navigate those pathways?
Karalda, you want to take it first?
Sure. Well, I do know that there is a female band director at Elizabeth City in North Carolina
Okay.
and Virginia Union. Just because I've been in contact through um, the Females Black Women's Band Directors Association. I've kind of fallen off with that with being busy, but I did meet quite a few Black female directors through that group. Um, for me, it might be a little bit different from Rametria because I am in the great state of South Carolina, and um, is South Carolina,
Hmm.
and it is to where we know that our black males are discriminated against some, and just keeping it real, there's discrimination out there. The black males, I don't believe they begin to realize that then they discriminate against us. So they get ousted once, we get ousted twice. Um, However, I just keep on going. I'm gonna create me a circle with who will take me in and go, and I'm gonna do my job regardless. I think oftentimes things are tougher for me, even when I go to competitions and get judged. Even when I'm trying to get stuff, even in my school, often because I'm the female where it seems like everyone else is asking for something. Oh, she's just whining about it. Oh, calm it down. They downplay everything that I say until the results come. However, I just keep on doing what I do. I can't sit back and complain about it. And I have me a little circle of people that I talk to, and the circle, his name is Gerard and Gerard, and it kind of circled back around to him a couple times. So, but I think I answered the question, Remetria.
Yeah, so I'm gonna echo what freshman sister said. I mean, if you're confident and you know your craft and you are sincere in what you're doing, your work will speak for you. And so you'll meet naysayers in the good old boy state of Texas. I definitely do not fit the mold. And I remember the first high school gig that I had, I was an assistant and I was at a region meeting, and an older white man went down the road shaking everybody's hands, and he skipped over me and went
Wow.
to the man next to me, and I just sat there and I said, oh, okay, is that what we're doing? And so those experiences, and I could name a few more, they kind of just really that was encouragement for me, just kind of pushed me to keep doing what I was doing. I think I found myself early. You almost want to fit the mold and be in the boys club, and so you put those khakis and that polo on Friday night, and you kind of roll on with it, right? And then later in my career, I realized, hey, I'm a girl, I'm doing this, and we're gonna keep moving. I'll get in front of my band and I would say, hey, you got two strikes against you. Strike one, I'm black. Strike two, I'm a girl. And I will say this part, and Karalda, I know you can relate to this. No boys want to get beat by a girl. And so we always have to, we're not only dotting I's, it's gonna be a capital I and a capital T.
Thank
Okay.
you.
and so
Mhm.
and so you just have to be confident in who you are. And then something that, because of my introverted personality, again, I've learned this later in my career, networking is essential. And so we do have the Association for Black Women Band Directors that Karalda spoke about, and so that's national. So now you have national, a system nationally that network, you can network and people will support you. And then here locally, what we try to do is just once or twice a year, just get all the black girls that wave a baton, get them together, and just say, hey, y'all are supported. How can we help you? And then I do have a tight circle, of now guys who, but deep down inside, they still don't want you to be better than them, but you can be right there with them, but they don't want to get beat by a
Exactly.
girl. And so you just have to stay true to yourself and keep pushing. And then we have to celebrate each other. So we
Yes.
have to recognize, hey, sis, you doing it. How are you doing it? What can I do, to help you do it? And so I'm glad that I've been able to grow a little bit in my career. And it's not even just black girls. for Texas, there are a lot of Hispanic, Mexican American girls who are now coming into the ranks. And you could, like I said, it's still the good old boy system. And one thing I realized, and it's kind of funny, Karalda and Tracey and Carmen, you can imagine you go and win first place at a contest, or you get a one at marching festival, and you just feel the crowd, they just come to you. But you look at those guys, the congratulations, and you're thinking, 2 years ago you wouldn't even shake my hand, you wouldn't even talk to me,
Mm,
you want to
mm,
sit next to me while we were judging. And it's
mm.
just fun. It's just funny. But it helps, remain humble. You know that you're true to what you're doing. Be true to yourself, and you just have to keep pushing. But it's definitely interesting to walk in the shoes of a female band director. I'll leave it right there. It's interesting.
Wow. See, I've
That
always
is inspiring.
I've always wanted to know, like, how does that feel? And it's one thing about software development. That's okay, great. But it's so testosterone driven, to be to be a band director, and to be a female band director, and then now you're a black female band director, so it's like boom boom. And then traditional style, and you ladies, are your programs traditional or core style?
Traditional. We march
See,
traditional.
that's it right there.
So like, and Tracy, you can relate to that
Sorry,
being a home.
traditional.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I answer for us, Karalda. I got you. But Tracy, it's kind of the same, Tracy. I mean, you look around the room, you're like, oh, okay, it's
Like,
just
yeah,
me.
oh, okay, all right, and don't be the leader of a project, and you got to actually tell these folks what to do. They'll look at you like, what? And then you have to like go above and beyond just to be seen as baseline. But that's a whole
Oh,
other conversation.
yeah, my
Carmen, do you have
favorite
any?
one, my favorite one is when I'm walking with the band and then they'll come up and say, ma'am, you can take your auxiliary line over here. Or
Woo!
Yes.
they'll come and
The
say,
assumption
where's the
that
band
there's no way
director?
you could be leading that band.
Yes,
Wow.
Karalda. Isn't it funny? Just let them look around, look around, look around. I love to watch it. I love to watch
Yeah.
And
Man,
let them make a fool of themselves. Let them tell on themselves.
well,
Yeah.
let's expound on that a little bit more. What was that like? You bringing your troops to battle, and they're saying to you, "Ma'am, you can take your auxiliary line over there." What did that feel like, and how were you able to respond, and how were you able to overcome that to focus on the task at hand? If you could expound on
Um, I think it's funny.
that.
I think, wow, you're really stuck in a box. And if I heard Rametria right just then, I completely entertained it one time. I was like, oh, over here? Okay. Auxiliary, y'all go over there with Coach So and so. Now where the band need to go.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean, yeah. Even this past weekend working with the band, there were some college students from South Carolina State. They came to the game, and so they walked up to me, and one of them had on a KK side jacket. I was like, "What's up, Fred?" And it's like, "Oh, you taught me to sing, Fred?" I was like, "Yeah." And so they was like, "Yeah." They was looking up in the stand. They said, "We're looking for the band director," and I said, "Oh yeah." They was like, "Is that him?" I said, "No, that's me." They were like, "Oh, my bad." So yeah.
It's just that baseline assumption. Director male, leader male.
Mhm,
Yeah.
But you
mhm.
got to break the mold, rewrite the story.
So we did something that was pretty historic, in my opinion, this past 3 or 4 years at Sunset. And I recently transitioned to a new position in the district. So I'm no longer the band director at Sunset. But what we did, we had an all female staff. You know, myself and Latoya, y'all know Mocha, Latoya Ellis came on
Yes.
to Sunset as the assistant director. Our auxiliary, really our majorette instructor, who kind of took on color guard when we lost our color guard instructor, female. And then I had a student intern this past last semester, a young female who's from the Metroplex. And we were at a competition in January. That's a long story, but COVID postponed it. And so we looked up to take a picture. It was all girls.
Wow. And didn't
And we
even
took
know
that.
it.
Because we just do it, you know. We just do it. We just working every day. And somebody said, "Oh, look!" And so we were posing for a picture, and we didn't realize we really had been doing it for about 2 or 3 years. Once we lost the color guard guy, but he was one. He was just one of the girls too, so it didn't matter. But
That's
that was
amazing
monumental.
though.
Yeah, that was monumental. We still look at that picture every now and then. Somebody will send it out and say, "Look, y'all, look at all these girls running it," you know. But I think, and Karalda, you may agree with this. More than anything, it's important for girls to see us and know, that they can do it too. Uh, and I think that males are more receptive now, even though there's still that fine line between, the female and the male band director. And I'm going to shout out mothers who are directing, high school and collegiate groups, because that's realm, a whole nother realm. And so I think, but I think now, we're coming into a space where female band directors are taking their podium, rightfully so. And you
Nice.
see it, you don't see we see more and more head directors, but even associate directors on a collegiate level, it's just becoming more common.
Yes, and it's inspiring. And then you're bringing through a generation of students where that's all they know. All they know is a female staff. They don't know any other way. And especially for boys to see that, they know how to follow, how to be led by women. So that's powerful. You blazing the trail.
So, Carmen, I know these are your sorority sisters. So, you want to expound on that? Yeah.
Yes. And so not only did they come through FAMU, but they continue to build greater bands as members of Tau Beta Sigma National Honorary Band Sorority. So Rametria and I, we both went through we joined in the fall of 98. And Karalda, you came through in the fall of 2003 or the spring?
The spring. Yeah.
In the
It was spring.
spring. So and it's just beautiful to see because that's the mission is to build greater bands. And so to see that
Hmm.
27 years later, do the personification of doing that real time and leaving a legacy behind. So it's just amazing to see. So my chest is beating. I'm kind of puffing my chest right now. Just happy to be in that company. They always say iron sharpens iron. So I'm just inspired to have two freshman sisters that continue to lead in that way. The last part, what would you like to leave if someone younger heard this, whether they're currently in school or if high school students listen to this or college students, what would you say to young women that might be considering careers in music, whether it be band directing or educating? What would you like to leave for them?
Um, I would say this first. If you're sure you want to be, a music educator, you have to be careful, and consider the preparation and the training that you're going to get.
Hmm.
At Florida A&M, hands down, there's no other music department or school of music that could
Fact.
offer what we got as
Fact.
students of Dr. Foster, Dr. White, and then Dr. Chipman. I mean, class of 97 is a unique class because we were there for the passing of the batons, and we were there for the change in directors with Dr. Chipman coming on. And so as music majors, that was very, 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 some people might think that the transition would be a setback, but it was actually very, very beneficial for us. And, like, I didn't take my second, instrumental methods class from Dr. White. I took it from Dr. Chipman. And so you kind of had the
Hmm.
best of both worlds. And I think that's important when you know for sure, okay, this is what I want to pursue. You need to go somewhere where you can thrive. There's no question when we came out of school, we were prepared to be band directors, and that sounds so arrogant.
Hmm.
It's hard, it's almost hard. You have to kind of be with another FAMU person or March 100 person, so that they understand that vibe, because it can
Yes.
come off. that's arrogant. But I think first and foremost, you got to know where you're going, and you better make sure that you're going to be set up for success. And then after that, the only other thing, and I'll leave some room for audio talk, but the only other thing I would say, stay true to yourself and remember there's going to be some bumps in the road. But if you see the end goal, you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. That means ask questions. That means get up in the midnight hour, do it over again. Whatever that entails, you have to be willing to do that. And a lot of times, especially the younger kids, they don't see long term. But we didn't get to where we are. It wasn't easy, you know. And so they have to have
Mhm.
perseverance. So no research, please. Don't just go anywhere. Research it, please, and make sure you're gonna get set up for success.
And Karalda?
Um, well, what I tell my students, is whether they're banned or not, I tell them you gotta visit colleges and see where you fitting in. Just because you like this place, because you've seen it on TV, doesn't mean it's a fit for you. You got to get to know the atmosphere. But when it comes to band, I tell them if you're not going for music education, do not choose a school because of the band. And if you are going for music education, you need to look past their marching band. You need to see what their entire program entails. Because remember, as an educator, you need to touch all sides and areas of their education. So the marching band is great. It's wonderful. It's the biggest recruiting tool. But what does their concert band look like? Do they have ensembles? What does the in class look like? What is their technique classes? Do you have to play piano? You need to look into the actual program. But I also, like I said, tell them that with their other majors as well. And as far as the young ladies, going in, networking. Rametria said it earlier. Networking. Get you a female mentor. Male mentors are good to have, but the story is different for females and males. And stick with that person, and don't think that, for our young ladies going in, don't think that you're less than. Don't make you feel like you're less than because you're a female. Um, you're gonna have babies if you want babies. Don't make them feel like your children make you incapable or incapable of doing something. My baby was out on the field. So I just all of that. Look into your programs, have confidence in what it is you can do, because that's the gift that God gave you, and move with it.
Wow.
Outstanding.
That's an awesome way to wrap this up. What do you think, Carmen?
I'm ready to get my clarinet and and go sign up and join the band.
Like I'm coming to
Oh,
Texas, I'm gonna be in Rametria's band, and I'm gonna come to South Carolina, and I'm gonna be at Karalda's band. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I just
we
gotta
are
get some.
ready.
I just gotta get enough PTO from work.
But it is
Yeah,
inspiring. Just over the 20 years I've served in the military, every dynamic that you've experienced, same dynamics. They look at you and assume, oh, there's no way she could hold that rank. There's no way she could be in the military. There's no way. Even going through the gate, I'm showing my ID and it's not computing that I'm the rank that I am. So all of those dynamics is it's similar. And so just to see that you too forge through it, you push through it, and you say, hey, I've earned this. This is mine. So you can either adjust accordingly or not. And so that theme, I guess that was forged for all of us at some point during our time in the 100. But thank you both. Thank you both so much for participating today. So these are our legends, legends of the
Yes.
fall.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank
it
you,
was it was
ladies.
No,
great to be interviewed by two legends. How about that? Rightfully so.
absolutely.
Oh,
I'm just Tracy,
Absolutely.
y'all. I'm just Tracy.
Thank you for thinking of us and thinking that I'm worthy to be interviewed. I feel special. Okay.
Special.
It's going to be on
Special.
TV, right?
are.
CNN, MSNBC. No, I'm just kidding.